Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a beautiful day. I am so happy to be here talking about something that's been a long time coming in our state. And I want to take a moment to thank. There were a lot of people and a lot of groups involved in this effort, and I want to shine a light for a moment on a few of those people. We have representative democracy in our state and in our country, and that means that things flow through a process which means that there are decision makers who can decide whether things proceed or whether they don't proceed. And I want to thank the representative from Levering for letting us be at this place on this day. I want to thank the representative from DeWitt for letting us be here today, having this vote. I want to thank my colleagues from Hillsdale, Jenison, Detroit, Ann Arbor, Watervliet, and I also want to thank Phil Skaggs, my staffer. I want to thank Kate DeVries, my staffer. I want to thank Nick Capone, a staffer on the other side of the aisle. I want to thank Aaron Van Langenveld, who worked a long time on this bill package. I want to thank Hassan Badoun, who was one of the initial authors of some of the inspiration. I also want to point out, Mr. Speaker, that our Speaker of the House, in his first speech, noted how perilous and partisan our country has become. And I want us all to take a moment and notice how bipartisan what we are doing here today is. And this is not naming a highway, Mr. Speaker. This is not something that's relatively uncontroversial. This is something that took a lot of time and effort and thought, and it's not easy to have come to the place that we're standing in right now. But where we have come is somewhere that we have come together. We have come together as Democrats and Republicans, and we have thoughtfully engaged on this issue, and we have done great work. And we have done it together. And that's something that I hope we can be a national model. And I hope that we can be an example for other states on these kinds of projects. Mr. Speaker, for a long time I used to say that Michigan just didn't have an incarceration crisis, we had a stigmatizing crisis. And what this bill does, and other bills that we've been voting on today does, is it weakens the hold of stigma in our society. It weakens the hold and the cloud that people who have committed offenses in the past have to walk under indefinitely. And my bill is going to widen the door to let more people walk through into freedom, into the ability to hold their heads high, into their ability to rejoin society with nothing to be ashamed of, because they've proved to us, to their fellow citizens, that they are safe and that they deserve to be re-embraced and fully accepted back in our society. And my previous colleague pointed out that, there are some good effects to this bill for housing, and there are. And that's been an issue that's bothered me for decades, is the fact that criminal convictions can bar people from housing. It's going to be great for employment. Make no mistake about it, this may be the most powerful anti-poverty initiative we do as legislators. The data is clear. People who get their criminal records cleaned up almost overnight experience a massive jump in employment, in earnings, and in employment. And that means that things we care about, like affordable housing, become more affordable because people will have more money in their pocket to be able to go out and purchase housing. It means that they won't have barriers in place to employment. This is going to have huge effects for housing and for employment. But the thing that makes me most happy about this package is that it's going to be good for public safety in the state of Michigan. Getting people back into the workforce, getting people stable housing, getting people reincorporated and revalued in our society is something that there is no substitute for. Nothing is going to do more, in my opinion, for creating an atmosphere of positive public safety in our state as much as letting people who have proved that they are safe be fully reintegrated in our society. And this bill package is going to allow that, and it's going to result in more public safety and lower crime in the state of Michigan. So thank you for letting me speak, Mr. Speaker, and colleagues, I hope to have your support for this bill.